Welcome back to the channel. This is supposed to be a part 2 to some grafting video that I did 3 weeks ago, but accidentally lost the footage off my phone. I deleted it by mistake. However, I did acquire some Iva Citrumelo cuttings from Alan Bishop. Thank you very much for sending these over. And I top worked 2 big branches on this established swingle. The parafilm here is looking a little weird underneath. However, the left side of the graft is growing, so we might just get rid of that smaller one. And here's another bark graft. This one was secured with zip ties. No activity on that one yet, but it looks good. My established tie try with multi-grafts on it, multigrafted tie try. My Prague is blooming this season. It made 2 or 3 blooms last year, but nothing came of it. This branch back here, closer to the wall where it's warmer, is a little bit more ahead in the flowering cycle. And I just noticed this flower has opened, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some pollen because I've heard that Prague is a shy bear, and one of my theories is that the flowers don't really release pollen as well as other citrus do. So I'm hitting this Ponderosa with this brush. Some of the ants are stealing the pollen here. Ponderosa lemon makes a lot of pollen. Huge flowers. So we're going to go back to the Prague, and we're just going to stick some of this pollen on the stigma. So this is just my theory. Like I said, I think some of the flowers don't get pollinated, which is why they don't set fruit. Prague is supposedly part Satsuma, and I remember one of my Satsumas, the anthers didn't really release pollen or very little. So it could be that. Like I said, it's just my theory, but we'll give it a try. I don't expect anything hardy to come out of this cross, so I don't think I'll bother planting the seeds. And I think I saw another open flower somewhere around here, which is more Ponicsirus-like because it came out of one of the nodes on the side. It doesn't really have a stem on it, so we're going to hit it. Never mind. And here is my other graft. This is the Bishop Citrandarin, also from Alan. Thanks again. 2 years from grafting, I believe. And the new growth that's flushing out is also bringing with it some flower buds. Hopefully these will be complete flowers and we'll be able to cross-pollinate with whatever pollen I have. My Morton is flowering, so I might hit them with Morton pollen. At the moment, I only have the Ponderosa. I do not try to store pollen. I haven't had success with dried pollen before. I have had success using fresh pollen. Oh, this is a Thomasville graft, which is still dormant. It's in a weird spot. It's really high up on the tree, and these higher branches seem to be redirecting the energy up there, so might have to prune back the tie try to get it to flush. Check out the sun damage on the Prague, which is fine underneath. So maybe at the end of the season, I'll probably try painting the branches again, just to keep the sunlight off of them. But it seems like the Prague doesn't mind. It just grows right through the damage, as you can see with all these new branches coming out. And flowers on some of the damaged wood. Down here is the Ichang, which I thought was dead, but it survived 2 Fahrenheit. Some of these thinner branches on the top, yeah, they're definitely dead. But the thicker stems are flushing out. And even some of these thinner ones closer to the wall. I'm surprised it survived 2 Fahrenheit. It might be one of those supposedly 0 Fahrenheit Ichangs. They don't come true from seed, I've heard. My fast flowering try dropped the fruits. I guess they weren't pollinated. I didn't pollinate them. This little branch here is Morton, which I'm going to try to train to come out of this bramble of Prague. More sun-damaged Prague, but with growth on the ends. Even a flower bud there. I recommend painting Prague. You should. If it's in full sun like this one is, it will get some sun scalding. Here are the remains of my 5 or 6 foot tall Yuzu tree. It did take 2 Fahrenheit, and at least one of these branches survived. So I'm going to train it as the new leader. That's what the bamboo pole there and the zip ties are for. It's also flushing on the stem. And I have some trifoliate seedlings down here, which I might eventually try to side graft onto the yuzu. But I think the branch here survived not only because of the proximity to the wall, but because I painted the yuzu up until where I cut it there. The main stem was painted, which might have reflected some light. My Morton graft on standard Ponicsirus with Ponicsirus Plus on top is about to open its flowers. There's the graft on that branch. There was a little flower on this end, which must have fallen off at some point. And there it is. Just like the Prague, I guess sometimes the flowers fall off. And here's our Thomasville, which survived 2 Fahrenheit. It had a tiny bit of kind of like bubbling, I guess, from the sun, but it's already healed. This cleft graft didn't survive. It had parafilm on it, and maybe the ice crystals got in there and stabbed it up. But there's a little bud, which seems to be getting ready to sprout. So what I should do here, I should get some of that orchid paste, which encourages budding, and maybe we can get a chimera to pop out of here of Ponicsirus Plus and Thomasville. And here is Miho times PT, also from Alan. Thank you very much. I did a bud graft here. Looks okay under the parafilm. Up here, we did a cleft graft. It's not pushing yet. I guess Ponicsirus is slower to push the grafts, unlike the Citrumelo over there on the other side. But there's a little dark spot here. Hope it's not mold. If it is, then this cleft graft will probably fail soon. If at least one of these takes, I'll be happy. I do have another branch in the fridge. I'm not sure how much longer it'll last, but we can try again if anything. It's the rest of the Ponicsirus Plus. Back in the greenhouse, just added some soil to the back panes that were leaking air for next winter. And as you recall, I grafted 3 of these Titri branches with Marumi. So one of the side grafts here is pushing, as well as another one up here. Thanks again to the mulberries for sending these. And he also sent Fukushu. A little mix-up with the varieties. So the side graft seems to be growing better than the grafts on top. This one hasn't shown signs of growing yet, so I might have to clip it. Over here, this T-bud, I'm pretty sure it's dead. I can see some dark spot there. Not to worry. We can either wait for this one to push out, or we'll just cut it at the level here where the Fukushu is already growing. And the third stem here has a few varieties. We put a Changsha down here. Thank you to Truth Seeker for sharing this with me. I hope your Prague grafts are growing. I did put a Marumi here just in case, but this graft seems to have failed. It looks brown under the parafilm. That's all right. We already have it on the other branch. Here, I believe this is a side graft of Citramon. Or Citramin. Sounds like a Pokemon. Looks green still, but nothing else is happening. Sometimes you get condensation under the parafilm, which causes rot. You'll know pretty quickly if your grafts are going to fail based on the color. Here is another bud graft of the Citramin or Citramon. Please let me know in the comments what you guys are calling this. So that looks like it's going to be growing soon. And just notice this one is swelling as well. So yeah, we have at least 2 takes. And here is a cleft graft, which is not doing much. We'll just end up picking one of them if something starts to grow. And all of these varieties should do okay in here with a small space heater as the only protection. My mystery potted citrus has been converted into a multi-grafted tree with a Thomasville from that branch that I accidentally broke off. Another Changsha on this branch. This is among one of the hardiest mandarins to have, so it's a good one for breeding. The Bishop and the US 852 came from this variety. Down here is another Thomasville. And here is a US 119. Thanks again to Truth Seeker. Finding this in the bag was a surprise. Thanks again. And now I have this variety to probably make more crosses with. Back there is a potted cutting of a Morton which is covered in flower buds. I don't expect this to hold a fruit, but I will be using the pollen. I stuck more marumi on this Thomasville. And by the way, this white stuff is kaolin clay that I sprayed on my trees. Once I opened the door of the greenhouse, some of the leaves were getting burned, so I used the kaolin clay to offset some of the light. This is a sweet lime, and on top is another changsha. So what we have 3 now, 3 changshas from a couple sticks. Really cool. I think there's spider mites on here. We'll take care of that at a later time. Here's my Morton with some fruit on it, and US 119 on this branch. Hopefully we've taken care of the leakage here, the air leakage for winter. There's a bud graft of US 119. So the Morton should be okay without getting further damage from the cold leaking in there in that corner. Over here, I have another potted Thomasville, and this flower was hit with the Morton pollen. So hopefully that sets a fruit, and we'll see if anything comes out of it. Feijoa looking great over here. You guys saw the Ponderosa already, and in the corner is the Meyer lemon, which is recovering. The lime quad is flushing new growth, which is good. And here I have another, this is actually a Ponicsirus Plus cutting, which I rooted and planted here closer to the house. I used one of the branches here to graft more of the Miho times PT. This is a side graft. I'm not sure if it's turning colors or if it's just dark green. And here's another side graft. This one looks better than the one underneath it. And on top is a cleft graft, which looks okay. Hopefully one of these 3 grafts will push. Like I said, it seems like Ponicsirus is slower to push grafts. This is a Ponicsirus seedling. I think it's 2 or 3 years old now. It's planted next to the roof of my garage. It's another Iva. I think I mentioned in previous videos that the land here isn't flat. This is technically a foothill of a mountain, and all of the buildings on this street are kind of built into the hill. So I kind of just stick plants anywhere I can. And over here is a bishop grafted on Ponicsirus. And down here is that graft I mentioned before. I still don't know what it is. I thought it was Morton, but the leaves look a little more narrow. It might be US 1284. I might have done a bud graft of that. There's no scent on the leaves. I'm not 100% sure that it's US 1284 because US 1284 is not hardy. I'll show you my tree in a bit. It's totally dead to ground level, but it is resprouting. This might, it might be Morton. I don't know. I'm really just confused about what I grafted here. It's what happens when you don't label your stuff. So we'll just let it live for now, and if it flowers, maybe next season I'll have a better idea. All right, well, moving on. This is the US 1284 inside this little makeshift bottle greenhouse. It died back to ground level at 2 Fahrenheit. It's also died back at 5 Fahrenheit. So like I said, it's not hardy here. There's a seedling Ponicsirus, which I might use in the future to side graft it. And I moved the fast flowering trifoliate that was in that empty spot. I just showed on the left here. And I pruned some of the side branches. And I think it'll be happy in this spot. I might eventually graft something on top of it. Don't really care about the fruit. And here's my other fast flowering trifoliate. This one is grafted on a standard Ponicsirus. I borrowed one of the branches for another Prague graft. So you can see I have a lot of Prague in my yard because it's zone 7 hardy. Might as well take advantage. I like Satsuma fruit. Here's one of my dead Tai Tris, one of many. All of my Tai Tri rooted cuttings died. My theory is they didn't go dormant. In that random bottle is some maypop seeds that I was stratifying. That's why it's planted there. And here's the other Prague on standard Ponicsirus as well. This one is 2 years old now, I think. And this one didn't take any damage because it's more shaded. And my last Prague is the one on the supposed flying dragon, which is now going into its 5th year, I want to say. Has barely grown, and there's bark damage from the rooting sponge. So probably next season, once this seedling gets a little bit more height to it, I'll just bend it over and graft it to one of the branches, and then we'll cut the rootstock. So if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.